Hello, my name is Shelby Roberts, and this is my memory speech for PBS Speech. A memory that I specifically remember is April 13th, 2012. It was the night that I was inducted into a special group at church with 5 of my closest friends. We all had to go through several qualifications to be able to join this group, and it was one of the best, most memorable nights of my life. On April 13th, I came home from school and got ready for my exciting night. When I arrived at the church, I could barely contain my excitement for the events that the night held. I met up with my friends Sarah and Nick to bask in the moments leading up to the event. We were talking about how hard some of the qualifications were, how excited we were to join the group, and life in general. Once a good crowd had shown up, our youth pastor, John, came into our youth room with 2 big boxes in his hands. He invited the 6 of us that were being inducted into the group to come up to the stage. When we had arrived on the stage, he opened the boxes and gave us all our own shirt with the group's logo on it. As I held the pastel pink shirt, I remember feeling as if everything had finally clicked into place. Us girls, there were 4 of us, rushed into the restroom to put on our new clothing, all of us in utter chipper about the night ahead. We came back to the youth room once we were dressed, and we waited on our next instructions. Luckily, the girls got to eat first. We learned that we would be having our separate courses at different homes, which put us into a mode of joy since we all love to eat. So I bid farewell to my closest guy friends and hopped into the van with the rest of the girls. We first traveled to Miss Cindy's, one of our leaders, home to eat our appetizers. She had prepared for us strawberry soup and salads with bread and tea. As we all sat at the velvet cloth tables, we ate and enjoyed each other's company. As for me, I was still anticipating the night's events, putting me in utter awe of everything that was going on. Once everyone was close to being done eating, Summer, John's wife, called us, the 4 girls being inducted, up to the front of the room. We had no clue what was happening, but we went up to the front anyways. As we stood in the line, Summer read a couple of Bible verses and told us how proud she was of us. As I stood there, I felt the eyes of all the other girls in the youth group stare at me as I stood there, accepting what Summer was telling us. When she was done talking, she pulled out 4 little wound-up rolls of white satin. She individually unfolded all of them and came up to our line. She came by us, one by one, and wrapped the satin around us as our princess sash. This brought joy to all of our faces, and we gracefully sat down to the soft applause of the rest of the girls. Next, we got back into the van and traveled to Miss Marissa's, another leader's, home, where we were treated to a bar of chicken, breadsticks, and vegetables. We all ate and enjoyed soft chatter when the 4 of us were beckoned, once more, by Summer, to the front of the room. We all stood in our original line, waiting and wondering what they could possibly give us to make this night any better. After Summer talked once more about our commitment, she pulled out 4 little golden sacks. She handed us one and told us to open them. Inside of the sack was a silver mirror, which had a Bible verse inscribed in the back of it. She told us to look into it whenever we felt down, because pure beauty would be looking back at us. While we all just about broke out into tears, we contained them and sat back down. Our last jump in the van led us back to our church, where a large dessert bar was laid out for us to devour. The 4 of us got to go first, and we even had our own special table that we were allowed to sit at. There were even cute little princess decorations that were laid out on the table for us to keep as a memory. Once everyone had finished eating, Miss Brenda, our senior pastor's wife, came to our table with a bouquet of 4 flowers. She gave a small speech and then individually handed each of us a pure white rose and gave us a soft hug, followed by our picture being taken. After that was over, the other girls were led into the church's auditorium, while the 4 of us stayed at our table. Miss Leslie, another leader, walked over and sat down with us, telling us that it was time to tell her our Bible verses that were required to memorize as a part of our qualification. After we were done reciting, she told us that the time had finally come for our ceremony. All of us giggled softly in excitement, finally noting that the night's big event had arrived. We all lined up, one by one, and stood at the double doors of the auditorium. As we entered, the song, More Beautiful You by Johnny Diaz, was playing on the big screens. This was truly phenomenal, because that exact song had been playing in the van earlier that night. Astonished by the irony, we all had our own separate procession down the aisle, with all of the other girls and our families lining the aisles as we walked down. Once done walking, all of us went up to the stage, where a single black cloth table and our youth pastor was waiting for us. He turned around and greeted us with a small smile and nod. He then proceeded to say a few words about us, followed by a reciting of the actual commitment. Once the commitment had been repeated by each of us, he turned around to the stool behind him, where 4 princess crowns were residing. He then individually crowned us princesses. Me, being so tall, had to kneel down slightly so that it would go on my head. Afterwards, the night still feeling so surreal, we were allowed to ask 4 other women to sign our commitment documents as witnesses of what had just occurred. Once the documents were signed, we all got prayed over, with all of the girls joining us up on the stage. Afterwards, with tears still in our eyes, we got our pictures taken with the signers of the document, and all of us proceeded off the stage. Once outside of the auditorium, we all reconciled about what had just happened. We all then jumped back into our vans to start our citywide photo scavenger hunt, which lasted for multiple hours and led us to asking strangers to let us pump their gas, taking photos in front of fountains, and even playing a mad game of Chinese fire drill. Once done with the scavenger hunt, we all went to the Holtz and other leaders' home where our night would continue. Then we played multiple games of charades and Never Have I Ever. Our most beloved game at the house, though, was a blindfolded fashion show, in which us princesses had to be dressed up as wearing the armor of God. The catch ended up being that our costume designer was blindfolded while retrieving the clothing that we would be wearing. This led to a glow-in-the-dark fashion show in which we were all led down a hallway into a living room full of screaming and cheering girls. After our night had come to a close, we all drifted off to sleep. I slept with more peace than ever before, since I could never recall a moment in my lifetime that I had ever been so content. The next morning, all of us princesses got ready and headed back to the church, where we took our final pictures and bid farewell. The next day, Sunday, our youth pastor held a big presentation of us, as well as the guys this time, on stage during the adult service. It was there that he presented us with our new Bibles, with our names engraved on the front and special notes written inside for us. That concluded our weekend celebration of our commitment, but we got to end it together with one final picture. This means a lot to me because it is one of the last memories that we had in John and Summer. They moved to Canada last August. But even more importantly, these people mean the world to me. This night can still bring tears to my eyes, and I have come close while writing this, trust me. And it truly set a new chapter in my life. That is why this memory is important to me. Thank you.